Hello and welcome to the Deep Thought. And welcome to the place where I talk about things that matter to me. And honestly, today, right now, I want to talk about men. I want to talk about us as a whole. I want to talk about how we've been impacted by societies all over the world and cultures all over the world to be something that we are not. And I know I'm hitting it hard right off the bat right now because it's something that I just noticed. I witnessed a man driving by in his fancy car, really fancy car. It looked like a really nice BMW, and it was blasting music. But he looked so miserable. He looked so defeated. He didn't even look like he was enjoying himself. He looked like he would have everything, right? The money, the wealth, the women, all that, and he looked absolutely miserable. He looked like he hated his entire life, everything that just encompasses his life. And honestly, I want to talk about us and what we've done to stunt ourselves from growing as emotional beings that we actually are. Before we go any further, I'd just like to say I very well might lose character on this subject because I have a path that I like to follow in my mind, but that's not always the case. So you'll have to excuse me if I use any phrases or anything that might offend you or anybody else for that matter. But men in general, like that man specifically, I've seen him everywhere. I've seen those men all over the place, and they just look absolutely miserable, absolutely defeated. And honest to God, I do think that it always comes down to one thing, and it does come down to the fact that they are not capable of expressing themselves as who they really are. They don't come out to the world and show themselves to everybody the way that they want to, the way that they deep down wholeheartedly believe and know who and what they are, but absolutely refuse to because they're so afraid of being rejected by society and people that already accept them for what they're not today. We go about this world, men especially, women do it too, but in a different way. It's not the same. We both have our kinks. But we go about the world and our lives today pretending to be somebody that other people would like. And even those people don't like you. People know when we're lying to one another. We know when we're not presenting our true selves to one another. And most of the time, we just do it right back. And that's the sad thing. The subject is very touchy because I've done it myself. I've hated it. I put on the mask where I've had to shut off my emotions and not let something bother me the way that it actually would. I wasn't allowing myself to feel the emotion that was being created there at that moment. I wasn't experiencing life to the fullest extent because of the culture that I grew up around and the society in today's day and age that sculpts men into stone. in a perfectly well put way, we are sculpted from stone to be stone. And I don't think we realize what that does to us as a society. I don't think we understand what that does to ourselves individually as a singular person, as a single person, what it does to us. I've come to realize a few things. I've come to understand the few things that it does do, just because I've gone through it. And I've gone through the transformation of, changing that within myself. I allow myself to feel emotion. I allow myself to just feel the pure, unadulterated emotion that comes from experiences and everything else that happens in life. Because if you don't allow that to happen, sooner or later it will come out, but not as a good thing. It comes out as something that has been suppressed and essentially compacted within a very tiny little area and essentially explodes. It's literally what an atom bomb does. So, you take the molecules, you take, uranium, plutonium, some of the other things that I won't mention to create an atom bomb. But you take these atoms, these particles, these things, which are, in our case, experiences, memories, thoughts, emotions that are created from these experiences, and we cram them down, we tuck them away, we put them down in there, down under, because we don't want to deal with them. We're men. We're not supposed to feel anything. We're just supposed to be here and be completely emotionless and not feel a damn thing. That's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. Men are just as emotional as women are, and all of us, and you know what, let me put it into this perspective, all of us are exactly as emotional as everyone else. We don't like to admit it, we don't like to do it because we're afraid. There is fear within us because we do not want to be judged by other people. We don't want to be judged negatively, we don't want to be seen as weak. And in today's day and age, that's what it is. If you show or express any emotion, such as sadness, or honestly anything under that radar, especially such as, crying, anything along those lines, you are considered to be a weak human being. And once that builds up and gets drilled into the minds of man, it really does something to us. That's what makes us evil. That's what makes us hate. And if you really think about it, the underlying factors there are hate, sadness, and anger. Obviously because we're and fear, which all that actually falls underneath as well. But fear, the fear of judgment. As we're growing up as children, we're fearful. After a couple of years in school, for some reason, we are fearful about how other people will judge us by the way we come off. So we try to change it. We try to be different. We try to be something that we're not. And we don't even realize what's happening. We don't even understand what's happening because we have teachers as well that promote this type of behavior, that promote people, promote children especially to suppress their emotions to, oh, you know what, get over it. You're fine. Dust yourself off. And you know what? Sometimes it's not okay to do that. There are times where you can say, you know what, you can get up after that. That's nothing. That was a little fall. But we utilize phrases like be a man. I know every guy that is watching this video or will see this video or even has seen this video knows and has heard the phrase be a man. Not a single person, especially in North America, I know for a goddamn fact, in North America, there isn't a single person here that has not heard the phrase be a man. And that phrase pisses me off beyond belief. Because it indicates that you need to be something else, be something different, be something that society has created in their own imaginative lie that a man needs to be somebody who is just cold, emotionless, and essentially dead inside. And it's wrong. Of so many reasons, and we can get into that, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. I honestly just wanted to get across that with seeing the man that I had seen today and what he looked like, I imagined what he was feeling. I could only imagine what he was feeling because he looked so defeated. And I've been there because when I've looked that way, I know that look. Especially when I'm giving it out to the world, I know that look. It's a sign of defeat. It's a sign of emotional depression, as well as physical. And we use the word depression in a sense that it's only a part of the mind, which, you could argue it only is, but honestly, I believe that depression is, also within the body because it affects your body. Going forward, it just seeing the man really made me feel as a man, as a person, sad for him, because I wanted to get out of my own car, go over to him and just tell him, hey man, you're alright, you're okay, even though that wouldn't have done anything, at least not that I think it would. I don't know what it would have done. It might have played out very differently. Imagine somebody came up to him and said that, and he just started weeping. But as a man, we're not allowed to express our emotion. We're told to suck it up, hold it down, suppress it, not bring it up. And eventually those emotions, especially from our younger years as children, begin to stockpile, and then the pile becomes so large that we don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to deal with it. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want to bring it out, but the more that we don't, the more angry we get. And the angrier we get, the more we build on top of it. So it's just a process. It's a circle of shit stockpiling on top of shit is the best way that I can put it, because all we're doing is just compiling an arsenal of anger, hatred, fear, and emotional intolerance for other people. And that's what we've grown to do. That's what we've grown as a society to do. That's what, here in America, especially, I'm sure it's just as bad in other countries. I don't know how it is in Canada, but I'm sure it's just as bad there. But I know from my own personal culture as well, from the Yugoslavian culture back, because I was raised in a family from Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, and that's how they were. Except they were very brutish about everything. They'd walk around puffing their chest out, pretending like they're big, mean, and tough, only to realize that any man that walks around like that has such a large chip on his shoulder that if you were to find it and expose him to it, would crumble. So, my overall message here is that seeing that man today really made me reflect on myself and see how far I've come, because I've allowed myself to come out to do those things, to be emotion, to express it. And I've come quite a ways, actually. Because expressing your emotion is not only about, crying. It's not about just, crying or, letting your emotions experience you. It's about experiencing those happy things too. It's about wanting to go out and dance. It's about wanting to go out and just have an experience and enjoying it wholeheartedly, and not being one of those people that just sits on the sidelines and does absolutely nothing because they need to pretend that they're cool so they can show off how stone cold emotionless they are, because they're afraid to be judged. Created a society where if a man shows anything, he'll be judged either as a hateful person, not understanding where his opinion might be coming from. Because if a man says that he doesn't like a homosexual, he's automatically a homophobe. That's just his opinion. If a man says that he likes to dance, he must be a homosexual, because no man actually expresses his feelings unless he's a homosexual, which is completely false. And here's the thing about homosexual men. They're great at expressing themselves. They are great at showing that emotion, because they've gotten in touch with their sensitive side. They know about it. They allow it to come out of them. Ask any man who is a homosexual, and he will tell you that he is much happier with where he is now than where he was as a child growing up. Because they were able to come out and express themselves freely without the fear of judgment. Because honestly, that's what we've created today. Today there is a society of judgment. A very large society of judgment. So, going back to the basis of why I started this video again. We as a collective society, as men and women, need to understand, come to a certain understanding that it's okay. It is okay to feel. It is okay to experience, because that is what life is about. That is what being here is for. You are here to experience and enjoy everything that is being presented to you as a human being right now, to this day. It is your damn duty to go out and experience life to the goddamn fullest, to experience love, to experience sadness, anger, hatred, joy, happiness, everything. It is our duty to do this as a human being. And whether or not we get judged by what we do, what we say, where we go, or where we don't, or what we don't do, is completely up to another person, because you can't control what somebody else is going to think. So we have to show up as ourselves. We have to be here together and not put up this facade, this mask. And I'm going to use this from a book that I'm reading right now, actually. The mask of masculinity that we have available at every turn. We utilize these masks to hide. We utilize them to keep people out, not realizing that we're only keeping ourselves out. We're the only ones that are left out when we put on these masks. When we put on the masks to be a joker, to be an entrepreneur, or somebody to pretend to have tons of money, to pretend to be a joker, somebody who's just funny all the time, to pretend to be somebody that we're not, because we're afraid of being judged for who we are and what we are. So going forward, I'd like to conclude on a note of just, to every man out there, every person, every woman too, who is not allowing themselves the freedom of expression that you have here in this world, in this life, not just in America, in this life that you have. Take it for what it is and enjoy it. Love it. And experience it. The best thing you're ever going to do is allow yourself to be who you are meant to be. And love yourself.